In what can only be described as a year of chaotic QB play, Garrett Wilson elevated above the calamity, claiming Offensive Rookie of the Year honors and causing coordinators to put him at the top of their board. Managing 1,100 yards with a scattergun and statue slinging him the ball, Wilson shined as one of the few bright spots on the Jets offense, consistently getting open through great releases and precise routes. Once he's got the ball, dude's dangerous, threatening offenses without even needing a QB's help. Let's just say the highly touted rookie did not disappoint. With jabs, hops, and slices, Garrett Wilson already shows advanced understanding in the release game. And while there's always areas to improve in, advanced snaps this young lead to scary thoughts for defensive backs. Top of your screen here, and watch the speed of his feet on this release. He'll use the hop release to split his feet and make his direction of attack ambiguous before taking a hard step with his right, as if he's going boundary, but immediately crossing the corner's face with a hard jab into the ground. The DB's wobbling, and Wilson is open on the slant and controls through contact. Working from the slot here against the Bills, and again, the hop has him breaking ankles. He splits the feet off the release, and feeling his man overcommit to the outside, crosses his face near instantaneously, leaving the corner scrambling. Spotting its man, his head is straight back for the ball, and more good body control to spin and take in the ball behind him. And here, there's no hop, just fast, sharp feet. A jab with his outside has him winning the inside path on the crosser, and now it's just a foot race and track to bring in the long third down. These sharp and jagged cuts translate into his route running game as well. He consistently shows crisp and precise patterns, using his quick feet to make big breaks, flipping his momentum in an instant and leaving defenders kicking up dust. Even when the space is minimal, he knows how to set his man up. Here, he's got a hitch route in close man coverage, so he'll split the feet and get tall in his stride as if he wants to go long down the boundary, only to stop on a dime, leaving his man trailing deep and 3 yards of separation. Facing one of the league's top corners in Xavier Howard, Wilson is tasked with the sail route and already shows advanced understanding of how to set his man up. He needs to get inside to sell the crossing part of the sail before breaking back boundary, so watch him release outside to force Howard to get out and cover the boundary space, creating room to push his stem inside uninterrupted. He's got the fight and wheel to get over the top of him, but Howard does a good job to clamp the hip. But Wilson smartly has his eyes back to his QB, and spotting Flacco bailing from pressure, immediately stops on a dime and sends Howard flying by, creating an open target and moving the chains. And it's the early signs of advanced receiver play that really have Wilson locked in as a chain mover already. Here, the punch and ride on the route are good by Howard, but Wilson will use the contact to lean his weight into the corner and then push off on the cut to create separation. It's a push-off, but no ref has any chance of calling it. Nor would they dare with the corner's contact, advanced understanding. And when he's not impressed, his cuts are just as impressive. Lined up at the top of the screen, Wilson is running a corner route on this max protect concept. With so much space between him and the safety, Wilson is out fast, long striding to eat up that space before selling the post inside, getting Grant Delpit to bite and turn his hips. Another sharp cut has Garrett wide open, and he can slow down for Flacco's underthrow to track it. More off coverage in zone, and this time Wilson puts the rookie Caleb Evans in the spin cycle. He slightly widens before attacking that seam strong, and as soon as his man turns his hips inside, he bounces wide of him, leaving him muddled. Evans thinks Garrett is going long, so calls out to Harrison Smith to pick him up, but Wilson breaks it off here for the boundary ball on a beauty of a route. With erratic flingers of the football, Wilson was often forced into showing off his catch radius. And that he did, exhibiting great skill to be able to contort his body, adjusting for offline balls. It seemed throughout his tape that Wilson was always making catches in traffic, showing sturdy hands to take a hit and hold on. The ball is coming in fast and high into a tight window here, and Wilson will elevate and meet the ball at its apex, using his arms like shock absorbers to bring it in and hold through contact. Or, how about this one against Minnesota? The ball's gonna be in hot for the skinny post in the zone, and Mike White is behind on the zipper too, forcing Wilson to reach back to secure and hold on through contact, bouncing off both tacklers for extra yards. Against Detroit this time, Wilson's gotten out and up from the slot on a twisty turny route, and again, there's gonna be a lot of contact. Will Harris is trying to drag him down and hold his hand to stop the fight back, but Wilson does well to get free and reach up through contact to pull this in. And while this one won't count, it might be his best catch of the season. Running the fade down on the goal line, Zach Wilson tries to fit this into an impossible window with Wilson pinned to the boundary. Despite the zero space afforded, Garrett is still able to go up with one and palm the ball while backpedaling. Wish they gave him at least 1 point for the effort here. Like, come on. So he could snag them through a variety of contact, but perhaps Wilson's most impressive attribute was his ability to gain significant yards after the catch. We said it while we were scouting his college tape, and it holds true in the pros. He has that next level elusiveness and acceleration, turning short receptions into substantial gains. On what appears to just be a 5-yard slant, Wilson will take this deep into opponent's territory. Lined up outside, Wilson has a free release against off coverage, and Mike White does a nice job threading this ball in the window between Abraham Beauplan and Kalen Barnes. Wilson lowers his shoulder and shields off the ball to complete the catch, bouncing off a defender in the process, then smartly uses this momentum to break back sideline, getting wide to pick up a block from Mims, and then tries a nifty cutback to get under the safety's scrambling attempt, but he stepped out of bounds at the 11. His ability to absorb contact is in the elite of the elite, and his angular cuts have him reversing field with DB's hips left in pieces on the turf. A well-timed ball into Miami's fire zone defense has Wilson bracing for contact between 3 players, and protecting the ball, he'll dip low to win the leverage, leaving all 3 players tumbling to the turf. Then, with a patented sharp angular cut, he cuts to the open space, sending 2 more DBs colliding, before he finally cuts himself out of his own boots at the 26. When he's not having to absorb contact, Wilson showed a great knack for making the first man miss. Very rarely does a DB ever get him down on the first attempt, with Wilson ducking, weaving, and slicing around his coverage man and forcing a team effort to trap and corral him. Despite the firing of offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur, the Jets definitely realized they had a weapon with some next-level elusiveness and found ways to generate touches with him in space. LaFleur's firing was much more to do with the QB play than X's and O's, so expect to see plenty of this for Wilson with Rodgers playing QB. Now, rookies rarely come without issues, and Wilson definitely has some holes in his game, his first being his lack of consistency. While Wilson might light it up one week, he kinda would disappear the next, failing to both generate an impact through the air or in the quick game. Some of this can be put down to the erraticism of his QB play, but there were basic fundamental errors committed too when it comes to catching and controlling the ball. The radius is off the charts. Concentration though, not so much. But again, his hard defenders will call this all but QB play, but 2 hands is a drop to anyone who's ever played. He also isn't a factor as a deep threat, matching our college analysis that had him firmly as a slot receiver. Now there were some flashes, but there was no real strong deep ball running, struggling with tracking the ball, especially with errant wobblers that might need to be redirected. But deep ball running is as much on the receiver as the QB, and there's times that Wilson should have adjusted and found the flight of the ball. His smaller frame also made it more difficult to contest on jump balls or fight for the back shoulder, leaving receptions on the table and limiting his wide catch radius to open field wonders. With the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, Wilson goes from one of the worst QB rooms in the league to a top 5 thrower if all aligns, and if he stays off them drugs. With his shiftiness and angular stabs and cuts to get open, you'd assume Rodgers and Wilson will quickly become close partners, fulfilling the slant balls and quick routes Rodgers relied on for years with Adams, and very much lacked last season. Adding consistent QB play should allow Wilson to build on strengths and address areas of improvement. He's no deep threat machine, but he'll need to learn the back shoulder ball at least if he's to keep in Rodgers' good books. If the line shapes up strong, and they get Breece Hall back to force stack boxes, watch out, because Wilson will be putting up video game numbers. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, we're dropping a rookie report every 2 weeks throughout the summer. Stay cool and take care.